Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Mesa in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling start to what is going to be an amazing Serenity Sunday. What is our Serenity Sunday all about? It is that day where you just go, you relax, you kick back, you do things that help you to relax and get ready for the next week. I took time yesterday to do my planning for the coming week. Oh, excuse me. Suddenly got the hiccups. That'll be fun. Alive with hiccups. Um, so I took time to do planning for the coming week yesterday, so that today is completely free. I don't need to be on the computer, except for my lives, and um, and I can just unplug, be present in the day. So I was looking up some interesting statistics, some interesting things about unplugging. So I was reading various articles, and from the articles, these are the notes I got about why it is so important that we take time to unplug. And actually, I've got to get to that bit on my phone so I know where it is. Where is it? It is right there. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, got that lined up because it's for show and tell. But unplugging, they say Americans check phones on average 52 times a day, and some are 100 or plus times a day. I'm like, how the hell do you have time to even do 52, let alone more than 100? I'm like, yeah, that don't happen here. Um, People are realizing that investing in experiences leads to a more fulfilling life. So by unplugging from the phone and not having those high-paying jobs where, there's been this, things in the American dreams and stuff where you've got to have the big house and the flash cars and all of that sort of stuff. That's bullshit. Sorry for the language. It's total utter bullshit. You don't have to have the big car. You know my one of the reasons that I chose to go live in an RV is because it is getting down to basics. Yes, I do have a storage. I do have storage stuff in storage, which I am going to be going through this year. It is on my to-do list for this year. As soon as I find a permanent home base, then I'm getting everything shipped from my storage in California to wherever I end up in Arizona, and from there, I am going to be going through that storage, getting rid of the stuff that I don't need, and getting it right down to just the basics. I know I have some heirloom stuff in there. I know that there is stuff that has a lot of sentimental value to me. Um, and I know that I have a ton of genealogy stuff and a ton of yarn that I can't get access to because it's at the very back of the storage unit. And I'm using all of that, and I want to get that yarn crocheted up and or knitted up for blankets and hats just to give away. I love when I'm on the road and I've completed a blanket that I've crocheted and going and not knowing who I'm going to give it to. All I know is that I've crocheted it for somebody, um, and when I've crocheted it for somebody, but I don't know who that somebody is. And then all of a sudden, I will get an urge to that person needs that blanket, and I'll just go to them and say, "Hey, I made this blanket. I've had this huge urge. I have this huge feeling that I need to give you this blanket." And it totally blows people away. This could be complete strangers I've done this with, or hats. So when I knit hats and I crochet blankets, or like Afghans. So when I do that and give them away, it gives me a great sense of pride. The fact that I've made a difference in somebody's life. I love that. I love making difference in other people's lives. So, but I can't do that if I'm online all the time. So it's just getting back to basics, getting down to the simple things. America is very much live to work. You go in, you do all this thing, which brings me to the next point. But a lot of people are leaving their jobs and going on these massive trips and everything else because they are wanting the experiences. They've quit their 9 to 5 job, which is probably more than 40 hours a week, um, taken the huge pay cut, and now they're like traveling, or they're going and living off the grid. They're going on an RV. They're traveling the world or whatever it is, because they suddenly realize something in them made them realize, I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week or whatever, 60, 80, 100 hours a week. um, I don't get time to go travel. I don't get time to do the things I want to do. And some people are listening to that message of, when you get to the end of your life, what regrets will you have? Do you want to live a fulfilled life, or do you want to live a life of regrets? The choice is yours. And so most of us are like, you know I'm done with this 9 to 5 job thing. I'm done with working these hours, spending an hour each way in traffic to get to and from work. Um, I'm tired of having to come home and I have no energy to do anything. So people are chucking in their jobs and going and living on the road. There are people who like take they narrow all their belongings. Yes, they'll put some stuff in storage, but they narrow all their belongings down to one backpack, and they go off. They go off and see the world, and they're living a more fulfilled life. They've now switched from their 9 to 5 job to having a business that they can now do on the road, and it could be something like being a travel blogger. It could be taking the being a consultant and being a freelance consultant. So just working when the work is needed. Um, I know one family who um, they started off as a couple traveling the world, and they were having so much fun, and they would just find work wherever they were when they needed money. And they are now raising, is it 3 kids? I think they're now raising while they're traveling the world. And but they spend time in countries. It's not just, you know, it's not one of these European tours where it's 27 countries in 5 days or stuff like that. So one of those tours where they pack a lot of it in there in a short amount of time, so you don't get to experience. These people are traveling, not touring the world. When you travel, you become you want to become part of the culture of the country that you are currently in. You want to blend in with the locals so you don't look like a tourist who stands out. Trust me, if you go different places in the world, like where there's um, tourist sites or close to tourist sites and all of that, you can spot the tourists a mile away. The traveler, you may or may not be able to recognize them because they typically try to blend in. They try to live in the environment. They want to go to places that the locals go to. They don't want to go. Yes, they may go see the tourist spots just to say I've been there, done that. Um, and in some places, there's some really great history in there's some great history in some of those sites. Um, but more, they want the experience, and this is what people are doing. They're taking time to throw in the job and go do the experience. Um, the Bureau of Labor Statistics terms that despite the rise in hours worked, productivity is growing at a slower rate, at the slowest rate ever. I'm like, well, isn't that interesting? You've got all these people out there who are in the mentality of, I am living to work my job. My job takes 40, 50, 60 hours a week or whatever it is. And I spend an hour getting to work in traffic. I spend an hour getting home in traffic. Um, and yet they're putting in more hours, but they're getting less and less free time less and less me time to be able to spend time with their family, to spend time with their friends. It's usually just a very rushed thing. It used to be once a week, a group of friends will get together. Now they're getting together maybe once every 2 weeks or maybe once a month. What happened? People suddenly got busy, and it's all thanks to these devices because people are constantly checking them. Even when you are not at work, people are checking them. They're checking their work emails. They're checking for those notifications to come in. So it's kind of very interesting. And the next thing was to focus on what's truly important and let go of the rest. So what is important in your life? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it experiences? Focus on that and chuck the rest. Like I said, America is live to work. The rest of the world is work to live. So they go to work, they do what needs to be done, but they make sure that the work is not occupying a majority of their day. So they still have time to get together with family and friends and do the things that they enjoy doing. And another thing is that there's a lot of tasks that you do, especially if you're a business owner or a CEO. There's a lot of tasks that you do that is costing you money because you are doing them. You could be paying a virtual assistant, say, there's ones out there starting as low as $5 an hour up to, I've seen $100 an hour for a virtual assistant, based on what it is that they want. But there are companies out there where you can get, as long as you have the processes in place, you can hand that process over to a virtual assistant and they do the work. So now it is freeing up your time to do what it is that you do best. Do you really want to be doing the bookkeeping, or can you hire a bookkeeper where you just send over all your receipts each week or once a month or whatever, and they go in and balance all your accounts? Do you have a process where you go in to, for example, LinkedIn? Do you have a LinkedIn profile where you go in there, you spend 10, 15 minutes a day going in and you go through, who's got a new job, who's celebrating a work anniversary, who's got a birthday today, and you're sending them private messages. Can you not assign that to a virtual assistant to do? The same with the Facebook or the Instagram, all these social media sites. Can you have somebody who manages those platforms for you um, with certain tasks, and you have the processes written out of what you want them to do? It could be going through your, having them go through your emails and deal with, deleting all the promotional stuff that keeps coming in. So basically, they're going through and sorting the emails that you've read into folders and things for you. It could be that you forward that email to the person and say, hey, can you do that? Or it could be that you've got them set up that they know when this email comes in from this person, this is the process for dealing with it. Because it could be a weekly report that comes in and you just need the vital information out of there. So why are you spending an hour or two to go through that report to find the information you need when you can pay somebody a lot less to go through that report for you? So think about those things. How many hours do you spend each week or each day going down rabbit holes when you could have used that time for something else that's more fulfilling? Think about it. How many times do you get on YouTube, for example, and you watch a movie, and then you watch a YouTube video on a how-to or something, and then there's these other videos that come up in the side, and you go, oh, that one looks good, that one looks good. Next thing you know, 3 hours have gone by. It could be, what's some of the other ones? Oh, you're researching this one. Okay, me with genealogy, we already know that if I get started on the genealogy, I have to have the timer on because that clock, those rabbit holes are just there. Things like there's different sites that you can go to. And I remember in our mastermind group, we get different things recommended to us, and when they get recommended to us, it's sort of like, be careful. Some of them come with a warning of set a timer before you go to this website, because if you get on that website, you're going to get sucked into a rabbit hole real fast. So we get some tools or some sites recommended to us with that warning of set the timer before you go to that site. And it's like, okay, how many times do you read an article and at the bottom, oh, you're reading this article, these ones, you might be interested in these articles, and you start clicking on those articles. The next thing you know, a couple of hours have gone by. I know in the evenings, I basically put the phone down in the evenings after I finish my workday, and I have my set hours for my workday. And some days are a little longer than others based on what it is on my schedule, because I have things that are scheduled at 6 o'clock at night. And but I put the phone down, and I basically don't look at the social media or anything on it, or try not to anyway. But one thing I do have is when I'm watching a movie. Oh my gosh, this is dangerous for me. When I'm watching a movie and like I'll see a character there, and I'll go and see the actor playing the character, and I go, oh, what have I seen them in before? And so pull up the phone, pull up IMDb, go and search for the movie, and then go through the list of characters to find the actor that played that character, and then I'm onto their profile, checking out what movies have they been in or TV shows they've been in that I recognize them from. I find it, good, done, put the phone back down again. So that is my limited thing, but sometimes I do get carried away on Facebook, and I can burn hours in that thing too. Social media, big thing. Instagram, another big one. How many opportunities are you passing up because you're chasing rabbit holes? So if you think of all that time that you're going down those rabbit holes on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on other social media platforms, even some websites that you go to that can very easily get dragged down, how many opportunities are passing you by because you are locked into that virtual world? Unplugging will help reduce stress. If you do a digital detox, it helps you sleep. And by digital detox, they say phone in another room, not in your bedroom. I've actually been toying with for a while of getting just a small clock to have in the bedroom, so that I can have, because I basically use my phone for an alarm, as my alarm, if I wake up, if I sleep through my normal wake up time and so it just makes sure that I'm getting up and moving in the morning. Usually I'm awake before the alarm goes off, but if there happens to be one of those mornings where, for whatever reason, I am tired, then I can, then I have the alarm to back it up. So why not make it a clock in the room? Get a little digital clock or something that I can put next to the bed, and the phone can stay out here in the living room area. Because I know that there have been times in the middle of the night, and and my bank is famous for this one. waking you up 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with a text message to tell you that some money's been deposited into your. I mean, it's a great text message to get, but not at midnight or 1, 2, or 3 a.m. You know, how many services do you have where they text you in the middle of the night to say, "Hey, this has happened in your account. You know, go check it out." Or somebody sends you a message and you just have, and the screen comes on, and you get woken up because that light's suddenly in your face. So think about things like that. You know, and it interrupts your sleep, so you're not getting good quality sleep. By putting your phone in another room, then you get good quality sleep. Now, I know that there are times you have to have the phone close by because there's family stuff going on. There's situations going on where you have to, like for example, if you've got um, somebody in the hospital, like when Brad was in hospital, that phone never left my side. The only time the phone was out of my hand was when I was driving, um, when I was cooking dinners, preparing meals, or or having a shower. Those were the only times my phone was out of my hand when I was at home, because I needed it. Because if the hospital rang, I didn't want to be looking for my phone. It had to be close at hand to me. And even in the kitchen, if I was working on this counter and I turned around and started working on this counter, I picked up the phone and brought it with me. So it was constantly next to me when Brad was in hospital. So there are times that, yes, there are emergency situations where you do need the phone at hand. I totally get that. But when you don't have emergency situations on, why do you have the phone at hand all the time? I will quite often get up from my table here and sometimes go and have a picnic in my recliner rather than sitting at the table because I need the break from the space. And I will leave the phone sitting over here. And if the text message goes off, oh well. So it also, by putting down your phone, it makes it easier to move past old relationships. And I sort of thought, well, this is an interesting one. What are they talking about here? And when I read it, I thought, you know, that is so true because I hear so many people talking about, oh, and I saw on their Facebook page, blah 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 blah, that it makes it, if you detox from the phone, like you put the phone down and you're not constantly on it checking. I mean, how many times have some of you broken up with somebody? You know, your relationship has ended, good or bad. You know, there's feelings involved either way. Um, but you're following them on social media. Aren't you still hung up on that relationship? So you are not open to new relationships. You are not open to opportunities because you are so hung up on that. So put the phone down. Stop. Disconnect from them on social media. If you're a friend of theirs on social media, take them out of there. Unfriend them. And it helps improve real relationships. So relationships with family and friends and stuff. Because when you are out to dinner, you are there completely. When we're out to dinner, my phone is in my handbag, or in my pocket. It is not on the table. It does not get pulled out. I am there present. But the number of times I've been sitting at a table and people will go and pull out their phone, and I'm sort of like, put it down. What's the other one? I've heard of people where they take all their phones, they stick them in a pile in the middle of the table, and the first person that touches their phone while everybody's dining and that, after, you know, before the check comes, if anybody pulls out their phone before the check comes, they're responsible for the entire check, instead of splitting it. And did you know, on your phone, this is why I had my phone here, on your phone you have this cool little feature here, I don't know, hang on, that says do not disturb. You can actually go into here and you've got a do not disturb button. This is on an iPhone. I don't know about the Androids. You've got a do not disturb button. You can schedule times every day where you don't want it to be disturbed, and it's always on silent. And you can only allow calls from people on your favorites list. So my favorite list is my family, very close friends, and it's a small group, and who was the other one? No, that's it. Just family and friends. Those are the only people on my favorites list. Anybody else? They're out of there. And my list is very short. It's a very short list. So yes. And so to put a do not disturb on there, you know, schedule no screen time. So actually put into your calendar offline. Schedule times for offline in your calendar. Or go where there's no reception. That's always a good one. When I was doing the trip with my parents in August of 2019, we ended up at this camp. This camp, it took us from when we left the main road to when we got to the camp, I think it was about 30 minutes. We had to drive down through this national forest, um, a few miles. Then that we found the gate to where we were going, or the driveway to where we were going. The driveway was a 2.5 mile uphill, round twisty corners and hairpin turns in a 32-foot RV on a road that was so narrow. Fortunately, we were on the side where the bank was, not the where the where the cliff face was, not the other side where there was just a big drop. And prayed like crazy that we never met anybody coming in the other direction because there was not a lot of space for me to pull over. In fact, there's basically no space. But we did find a stretch of road, just a little stretch, where it was a little wider, and I had this mile long thing of, well, not a mile long thing. I had several cars behind me, so I managed to pull over, put my hazard flashes on, stop to allow them to go past, and then I was able to move back out. But that was like one spot on this whole 2.5 mile hilly, twisty, turny type of road, and we get to, and we didn't even have a reservation for that night. So we drove all the way out there. We get to the guard gate at the front there, and he goes, "Oh," and he says, "Oh, what's your name?" And I said, "Oh, we don't actually have a reservation for the night." And he says, "You drove all this way with no reservation?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Because it said to that there was something about some reason that you had to call to make a reservation for the night." And I said, "I just want the one night." I said, "If I have to boondock, I will boondock. It's not a problem because our water tanks were full. The generator was working fine. You know, we had everything that we could actually boondock if we wanted to." Um, so they end up. They said, "Well, we've got. You can go over in this area over here, but there's no sewer connections in those areas." He said, "But this is where the dump station is." I said, "We're fine. We emptied the tanks this morning. We'll be fine." And we ended up parking next to where this big tent area was, and there was the ablution blocks that had the toilets and the laundry and that sort of stuff in there, and toilets, showers, all that sort of stuff, and and there was a big church group in the tent area, and they would disappear off down these various paths at different times of the day to go do whatever it was that they were doing, but you knew when something was coming up because you could not get anywhere near the restrooms because they were in there having their showers and everything else and getting ready for the day. And my dad would go in there and he'd come back out and he says, "So man, he had to figure out, but we were only over there overnight, but we got there like mid-afternoon. We're only over there overnight. But they'd all been out during that day doing different activities and stuff. They all came and got showered and dressed before they went and had dinner. And Dad went in afterwards and he said, "Looks like a bomb went off in there." I says, "Yeah, we'll see all those people over there in the tent ground." Yeah, I says, "This is their only facilities." I says, "We've got ours right back there." And there was like a couple of stalls that didn't have doors on them. There was another one that had a door but no lock. And he said it was pretty bad. And Mum said, and the woman's one, it was probably about the same as well. I typically don't use the public facilities at a campground. The only facilities I use at a campground is their laundromat. That's it. I don't use their restrooms. But yeah, so it was kind of interesting. But we were in the middle of nowhere where we had no cell phone service. They asked us what type of cell phone we had. We told them we had AT&T. They said, "Oh, well, if you go to this building here," they're showing us on the map, right? "We've got cell phone boosters there, so that will help you get a signal." And this is one of the nights, because of the no cell phone, because we had no Wi-Fi service there. We had no internet connection, no cell phone service. And from where we were parked to where this other building was a mile away. I was not walking over there in the dark and back again in a place I didn't know, having to walk around the edge of a pond or lake. Yeah, we had to walk around the lake to the other side and all that. And I was like, yeah, no, not happening. So that's one of the nights when I actually, and I didn't know how strong the signal was. So would I even get a connection? Get all the way over there to find out that I couldn't do a Facebook Live. So that's one of the nights where I actually videoed the Facebook Live at the right time. And then uploaded it as soon as we got internet connection the next day. But going out in the back of Beyond, I mean, we were sitting there. We had no live streaming available. We had no internet connection, so we couldn't check any emails. It was awesome. We were able to watch movies because I have 2 binders of DVDs, so we were able to watch a movie if we wanted to. But we had a great evening just sitting there talking, working on crossword puzzles, word puzzles, because we like our puzzles. So we sat there and did our puzzles. Did we play games that night? I don't think we did play any games that night. But it was just a great evening. We had power. We had water. We were fine. We had it pretty sweet out there, and the fact that we had no internet connection didn't bother us. So today is all going to be about unplugging. My phone is going to sit here on the table. I will be on the computer. I've got two things I have to print off the computer today to get back to the lawyer for the legal stuff that's got to be taken care of. So I'm going to get those printed today so that he has them when he gets into the office first thing tomorrow morning. That's the only thing that I have to do on the computer today. But apart from that, I am offline. If I want to write, I always do it pen and paper. And I may watch some movies later on. I don't know. Haven't decided. But I am going to do some cooking today. We're making some pumpkin soup today. We're going to cook up some chicken, do some hard-boiled eggs. What else was I going to do? Oh, make some quinoa and do all of that in the Instapot. So the Instapot's going to get a good workout today as we go through the various things. And I love quinoa because it's something I can either have hot or cold. I like it cold, sprinkle a little bit of lime juice in there. I don't have any cilantro to put in there or basil. But that's okay because I'm probably just going to throw some other bits and pieces in there. Oh, I'm going to make up a broccoli sauce today. I'm kind of having everything prepped for meals during the week. But that means that later on too, I can just take the quinoa out of the container, put it in there. But I can also have it for breakfast in the morning where you just put a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on it. And you throw a little bit of cream in there with it and mix it up. And you kind of got like a cold oatmeal type thing. But it's actually pretty yummy. So we're going to be doing some cooking today in the Instapot and prepping meals for the week. Haven't done that in a long time, but I've had an urge to do this. It's really weird. I woke up on the 1st of January and it was like a brand new year, brand new me, and I'm doing things that I don't typically do, which is kind of interesting. Because sometimes I lay in bed in the morning and will read a little bit before I get up, and now it's sort of like I look at my Kindle and go, yeah, nah, don't feel like doing that. And I only started on the 1st, so this is my 3rd day of doing this. So, but anyway, have a super fantastic, sparkling, unplugged Serenity Sunday. Go do what you do to relax. But I challenge you to put this down for the day. It's my grandkids, aren't they cute? I challenge you to put this phone down for the day. Not pick it up unless you're connecting with family and friends. It's the only time. But no text messages, none of that. And just have it and see what a difference it makes in your day. What else can you fill that phone time with today? So there's your challenge. What can you fill your phone time with today? Have a super fantastic, sparkling Serenity Sunday, and we'll catch you guys later. Heck on era.